still David Carrier, your family's personal attorney, and we're still working on our Aretha Franklin estate plan here. As you know, the Queen of Soul died with at least three. My recollection is three versions of handwritten notes, and some in a notebook stuck in a couch, and all the rest of it. And of course, I don't know what the lawyers billed on the thing. I suppose you could find out, actually. I suppose you could find out. Most of the probate records are public, so should be able to find out exactly how much of her $80 million she wasted on the lawyers. But anyway, any money spent in that direction, duking things out in probate court, that's money well spent, right? I mean, your kids don't need it, and fighting in probate court, nothing better, nothing better. Hey, why why not waste your money? Sure. But here's what we're going through right now. We're just saying, okay, what if, and I know most people don't have a will and they don't have a trust and they haven't really, icky stuff to think about. Okay, fine. But in the public, I'm so public spirited here. In the interests of public service, we're going to do a Aretha Franklin type, do it yourself will. Going to do it for you right now. It won't be valid. It'll sow discord and probably cause a lot of probate. But those are all good things, aren't they? Because who would want to avoid giving your kids the experience of going to court and paying lawyers? And you wouldn't want to. You would want the kids to. Wouldn't you want your kids to get the full panoply of experiences in life? And if you could give it to them, if you could give them that experience of going through court and fighting siblings over stuff, boy, that'd be a legacy right there. That'd be super. Okay, great. So let's continue on. Now we already did the airplane's about to crash. Who do I call to take care of my stuff? Right? We did that. That was number one. The airplane. You're in an airplane. It's about to crash. Who do you call first? And if that person's on the plane with you, who do you call next? And if that person's on the plane too, who do you call next? And if that person's on the plane too, who's your fourth choice? If you go four deep, that's a pretty good bench. So let's go four deep. The next is you're in a horrific car accident and your eyes, you momentarily regain consciousness, and the EMT wants to know who's going to talk to the doctors on your behalf. Who do you want to talk to the doctors? Well, write that name down. Okay. But that person was in the seat next to you, and now they're in the ambulance next to you. And now who's your next choice? And then, of course, the third choice there, who do you want the third? Oh, but yeah, they're off hiking in the Himalayas and unavailable. So who's your fourth choice? Now, if they get back from Mount Everest, well, you want them to make the decisions, you see. But in the meantime, who's going to do that for you? So again, you've got four choices, and you're under immense pressure to decide these things because you're about to lose consciousness from whatever shock, loss of blood from the car accident. And you would like the doctors to be talking to somebody in whom, you don't want them talking, you don't want them talking to Uncle Ned, for crying out loud. You want them talking to somebody in whom you have some confidence. That's the idea. Okay. Third choice. The the airplane did hit the sea, smash. You didn't make it to the hospital. You're dead. Okay. That's the idea. You're dead. And now you're up on your celestial cloud, strumming your golden harp. And as you look over, look over the edge of the cloud down to Earth, or over to Earth, or I don't know, whatever your conception of that is, resting in, the bosom of Abraham there, and you can, like that guy. Remember, was it Lazarus or the rich guy? And he's in torment, and Lazarus is in Abraham's bosom. So anyway, Lazarus is looking out of Abraham's bosom, looking down on the world, and lo and behold, they're getting ready to dispose of your earthly remains. It's your funeral time, right? And do you want a funeral? Maybe you don't. Do you want to have the Lippenzaner stallions from Austria or whatever dance at your funeral? Well, okay. I don't know. What do you want? Well, whatever you want. Somebody's got to do that for you because you're not available anymore. Obviously, you're the guest of honor at that event, but you can't organize it. But you can choose who does. Okay? So rather than have friends and family members, fighting over who's got to do it. I don't want to do it. No, you do it. No, I don't want to do it. Instead of that, you can name who is going to put your body in the Viking longboat, send it out to Lake Michigan and burn it, right? I mean, you can decide, you can decide all that up front and then trust somebody to do it. So as you're strumming your harp there, you're resting in Abraham's bosom and you're looking over the cloud or whatever. And who in your ideal situation is making these decisions? Who is organizing it? Who's carrying it out? Who do you trust to do those things? Right? The funeral type stuff. And of course, that person is on the next cloud over because they were in the car accident with you or in the airplane, and you're both looking over who's going to do those funeral arrangements. And then, of course, the third time that guy's still hiking in the Himalayas, can't do the funeral arrangements. So who's your number four choice? Okay. So write these choices down. For my stuff, one, two, three, four. For my healthcare, one, two, three, four. For my funeral, one, two, three, four. All right. Now that's all good. That is all good. So now we know who's going to be in charge of what. Okay. Who's going to be running the show when it comes to your property, when it comes to your healthcare decisions, when it comes to funeral arrangements. All right. You say, well, I'm done now. I said, no, you're not done because you eager beaver, you piled up riches. It's like again, you go back to the Bible, right? It's like the guy who stored up, packed all his barns and stuff and with granaries and, good harvest. And now he's going to take it easy. And of course, the story of the parable, well, your life will be required of you that very night. Oh, whoops. But you got leftovers. Who gets the leftovers? That's the question. That's the next question, right? And you say, well, I got a spouse. I say, great. Give it all to the spouse. That's wonderful. Of course, some people have already had a spouse and now you got remarried and kids over here and kids over there. And what are we going to do about that? How do we work all that out? Okay, that's something you got to be thinking. Some people got to be thinking about. But if it's a first time round, fine. Give it all to your spouse. Say that. Write it down. Everything goes to my spouse. Okay, because if you don't write it down, right? If there is no will, right? You haven't written it down. Your parents are entitled, and there's no will at all. Your parents are entitled. Holy crap! Really? Your wife's got to split with your mom and dad. Yeah, yeah, they do. Okay. And there's other rules if you both had kids and you both didn't have kids. There's all kinds of stuff. It's a big surprise. I gotta tell you, it's a big surprise when married couple think, oh, I get my wife's stuff, I get my husband's stuff, and it turns out, no, actually, you get the first 125,000 adjusted for inflation, and and the rest gets split. It's like, what? Did you see that one coming? Most people don't. That's why we do this kind of thing to make sure that you're going to be a-okay. After that, so first of all, it goes to spouse. If it got a spouse, but let's just take the easy situation. Got a spouse, goes to the spouse. No spouse. They died, divorced, whatever it is. Now give it to the kids, right? Divide it up. Each kid gets an equal share, except for that kid who we never liked anyway, right? Or who's always a pain in the butt or whatever. Or that kid who's got certain disabilities and what have you. And we want to make sure the money doesn't just go out the window. So maybe we're going to do something a little extra for that kid. Could be, right? So that's the next set of decisions you have to make, right? We already know who's in charge of stuff. Good, good. Those were actually fairly straightforward, fairly easy decisions. And for a lot of people, the who gets what is fairly easy too, right? Goes to my spouse, goes to my kids equally. I like them all. Well, not every day, but most days I like them all. So divide equally. And that's how it is, right? But write it down because if you don't write it down, you can wind up splitting with your in-laws, right? And you didn't mean, or your spouse, the deceased spouse's parents, and you didn't mean to do that probably, or you could wind up splitting with their kids from a previous situation. You might not want to do that either. And sometimes kids come out of the woodwork. You'd be surprised. Now we got all this genetic testing and whatnot. Oh, that was my dad. Yeah. Okay, great. Anyway, so are you with me so far? So we chose who's going to manage the money, who's going to do the health care, who's going to do your funeral, who gets the stuff. When we get back, how do we deliver that stuff is a whole nother question.